Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well and staying safe. So today is a tips video, if you can call it that. It's basically 11 ways to get out of a creative block. Now these are ways that have worked for me. I'm not saying that these are universally appropriate. People work in different ways, and this is just what's worked for me to help me in creating and writing. So it was last night, I was like lying in bed and I just had the idea for this video, and literally I wrote pretty much the full thing out on my notes, so I've got it written here. So I'll just be reading off this list that I've written just here on my notes. So let me just begin by saying that the way I approach writing for the guitar is I write a lot unplugged. So I'll sit with a guitar like this without it being plugged in, and I'll just sit and strum and do chords like that and things and bits like that. So that's my normal way of doing things, where I don't know why, I just feel like for me, if you can hear, if something sounds good unplugged with no amplification, no effects or anything, chances are it's gonna sound pretty good when you put effects on it and plug it in. So that's just my way of doing it, and sometimes I do change it, but especially for chords I like to be unplugged because I like to hear the different sounds and that sort of thing. So first tip for me is switch it up, is what it links directly to what I've just said. So if you write plugged in always on the same sound, like maybe you have a favourite amp sound that you always go to and you're like, yeah, I write loads of stuff for this amp, but you're finding that you're getting a bit stagnated with that, change it. Go from that really saturated thing, switch it. Play your acoustic guitar, or if your acoustic isn't in the correct tuning that you're playing in, then play your electric, but just play it unplugged, or put a nice delay on it and have it really clean. And then that'll put you in a different headspace, and if you need to, you can always add the gain later. So number 2 is learn something new. So a new style or genre, immerse yourself in it, listen to songs, listening to loads of it. For example, if you're a blues guy, why not dabble in some country music? I was a blues guy for when I started playing the guitar. I was really into Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I loved like songs with a 12-bar feel and all that sort of thing. And that was like I really enjoyed playing that, and I really enjoyed listening to it. And then I found Keith Urban on the Crossroads Festival and really enjoyed the way he played. So I listened to his music, and then I ended up, Keith Urban was my top artist in 2018, and then it changed to Brad Paisley in 2019. So my taste is obviously evolving, but literally I still go back to those the country bits and the blues bits because they can put you in a different headspace. So if you are a blues guy, then try some country, try some metal, or try some other stuff just to listen to, and you can learn it as well. So the next one will link to that one just there. This is my next tip here. And this is number 3. This is, while in the lockdown period, this is just me, while in the lockdown period, I've been going on a lot of walks. So when I'm on the walk, because I'm on my own here in York, I walk with my headphones in, as so many people do, and I let my mind wander. I put a genre on, or I put something on that I want to listen to, and I let my mind wander. I don't consciously think about things. I just let my mind wander, take in the scenery, take in what's going on around me, and have the music as a backdrop. And for me, that really helps to flush out the system, flush out all the things that I've been sort of percolating in my head that I've written and that I've already recorded in. So I don't need to be, once I've recorded a riff into my phone or recorded it down on paper, like I've got here. So I've got this like little folder here, which is a lot of my writings. It's not got all of them in because some of them I record on my phone because I can't be bothered to write them down. but the majority of stuff I write gets written in on sheets of tab paper in this. And that's just again something I do. And the next tip here is come at things from a beginner's mind. So I've had to start doing yoga, a beginner's yoga session. This literally just started it this week because my back has been really hurting because I walked a lot. I have spinal problems. I walked a lot when I was in yoga, and I didn't have any problems for a long time. While I've been here, I've not had back problems. Like I've needed the occasional, I've needed my parents to do the occasional, you pop the top, you crack it a bit, get sort of a massage on it. But it's not been anything close to where it was, so I've had to now start doing yoga to stretch it out each day. So, where am I going with this? In the yoga video, it's Yoga with Adrien, the channel is called. I'll link it down below if you want to have a look. And basically, she talks about coming back to the beginner's mind. So coming back to being a beginner and just looking at fundamentals. And that got me thinking personally about how a beginner's mind on your instrument is a great thing. I also did this in my improvisation module in before Christmas, but it never really sank in at that point. So literally what I mean by that is put your fingers in weird places. So just put your fingers all over the fretboard in really strange places. It works really well for chords. So just put your fingers onto a chord. So I might go a finger here, maybe this finger here, then this one here, then another one here, and perhaps another one there, maybe. Nice chord. Now, I never would have found that chord shape had I not just done that. So, sometimes they won't sound good. That one, miraculously, sounded good first time. But sometimes they won't sound good. And just move fingers and switch different fingers around till you get something that sounds good to your ear. And then just repeat the process. Just write the chord down. Write which notes it is. And then just keep going. And you'll find that you'll discover a lot more in what you should be playing and different ways to play different chords. Because that chord is probably a really recognisable chord. I've got no clue what it is because I'm not that well versed in being like, oh right, that's that. But someone who is will be able to pick that out instantly and they'll go, oh, that's an interesting way of playing X chord. So that is a really good way that I use to try and come up with really random things. It can be done with riffs and melodies as well, and just moving about in that scale or playing random notes. You might find little melodies in there, and then you build on those. So I should say at this point that people already may be doing these things and they aren't working for them. Now I would say to people who are having that problem where it's still not working for them and they're trying all sorts of different things, they've Googled 20 million different things, have a break. If you can't come up with things and you're desperately trying, you won't come up with things. It's easier to take a break for a couple of days, take a step back, just practice. You don't even have to practice. Just take 2 days off of writing and practicing. Go and play your computer. Go and do something else, and you come back to it with a fresher attitude and come back to it with more positivity of, I'm going to write something today. Not, oh man, I've not written anything in 3 or 4 days. I'm really worried. I'm in this really big block. I've tried everything. Then just honestly, a break is the best thing for it. So let's go to gear now. So obviously those things have been things you can do in your mind and in your headspace, and just doing different active things to to supplement and take in more sort of creative energy. So the gear aspect of it, I did an experiment this year where for my module called Experiments in Music, where I wrote a solo over like G, C and D in with a really nice sound, my 80s Europe hard rock sound on Bias Effects, which I've used quite a few times in videos. Really great sound, I love it. I wrote a ballad type solo in that. And then I went in and I just completely ruined one of my patches. I'm yet to remember which one it is, but I put octave pedals on it, and I put like mimic loopers and all sorts of stupid things on it just to make it the most crazy thing you've ever heard of, and it sounded nothing like a guitar when I was done. It sounded more like an organ or a synth when I was done with it. So I then did that and played the solo again. And it was, I tell you, a lot harder to play the same solo. And I then did an improvisation with that, and immediately as soon as I started playing, I was more hesitant and slightly more tentative of it, being a bit worried that, oh man, I'm going to hit like wrong notes, it's not going to sound good. But then as I kept going, it then just pushed past that, and it brought out something else in my playing, a different sort of nuance in my playing that was that I never would have gotten if I hadn't used that sound. And another thing, like I said at the beginning, is playing acoustically, playing unplugged. Strip back your effects, because you can sometimes it was a criticism that, not necessarily that I got, that one of my lecturers had of guitarists creating ambient things. They rely on effects and all their effects to do the work for them and to make it sound interesting, rather than making it interesting compositionally. So like I said at the beginning, that playing clean without effects or playing unplugged is a really big part of making something, okay, so it'll sound good on an acoustic guitar. If I play this on an acoustic guitar, it'll sound cool, it'll sound good. So I can then, now I know that it's good compositionally, I can then move it to those effects. So next is tunings, which is probably the most widely known one, and everyone will say, well, I knew you were going to mention that. Well, it is. Dadgad is one of the ones that is crazy weird to play in. Open E tuning, drop D, drop C, drop A, B standard. I named a lot of drop tunings there because I play in a few of those, and I should say that both drop A and drop B are on the baritone. Now you can achieve drop A on a normal scale length guitar. I believe Nickelback do it, and Ariel Posen also plays a normal scale length guitar with baritone setup. So that's another thing that can really change up your playing, is different tunings, especially when you go down to a baritone tuning or a baritone guitar. It sort of makes you play in a different way, because the low strings are so low that if you play them all like you would a 6-string all the time, a standard tuning guitar all the time, it can muddy the sound and it just doesn't sound as good. So you have to find different ways of playing things, different ways of voicing things to make them sound good on the baritone. And that brings me nicely along to another one here, which is not for everyone. Obviously not everyone has the money to buy new guitars, new gear all the time. Me included, actually. I don't have the money to go and buy loads of guitars all the time. I'm a student. So if you do have that sort of money, then and you find you're in that sort of block, then maybe go to a music shop and play a few things, and then maybe purchase a new guitar. So a baritone is something you might think of, a 7-string, something crazy like that, just to put you back to, again, what I said before of the beginner's mind of being able to just press notes and find things that sound okay, and then finding them out through that. And obviously the other thing is, if you play really traditional guitars, so Gibsons, Fenders, all that sort of thing, then why not pick up an Ibanez or a Jackson or something like that? The really modern guitars with the Fishman, or a multi-scale or something that's just going to push you far enough out your comfort zone to where you're going to think, to where you're like, you're going to have to think differently about it, but it's not so far that you are, oh my god, I've got no clue what I'm doing, I'm a total beginner on this. So the other couple of things, there's last two here, we're down to the last two here. Getting a new guitar teacher. Now, I'm not saying leave your old guitar teacher behind and don't have lessons with them at all. What I'm saying is maybe take a couple of months where you don't have lessons with your old teacher, or you have just one lesson a month with him and just keep sort of touching base, but you, or him or her, sorry, and you have then lessons with a different teacher. Now, my teacher from university, if you watched the highly strung video that I just put out, that is my teacher. I spoke about my teacher in there, and he is a jazz guy. He absolutely adores jazz, loves it, and he's a pit musician as well. So he can read music and he does all the jazz thing, and he does it all really brilliantly. However, during the summer I have time where I don't meet with him because he is provided by the university. So I've sought out another teacher who plays metal predominantly, and I'm now learning from them from a different perspective. Now, I'm not a jazz person by any means, but I know that working with my teacher from university is going to help me, and I'm getting really into the metal thing. So that's why I've gone for a teacher of that genre. You know, you could go for a more traditional Spanish guitar teacher, you know, and dabble in that and see where you get to, and then bring those techniques back to your playing. Just sort of draw influences from everywhere. So the last tip here, second last tip, thought it was the last tip, it's not. So learning a different instrument is another really good way that I've found personally of juicing up that creativity a bit and making me a better guitar player. So in this academic year, like at the beginning of it, around October, November time, there was a battle of the bands in the Music Society at York St John. So I decided that I was going to play the drums in that one, and I learned 3 songs. We did There She Goes, She's Electric, and When the Sun Goes Down by Arctic Monkeys. And I played them, all 3 of them live, and I really enjoyed it. And what that did for me was I then understood the position that a drummer in a band is in, and I'm able now to apply some of that, the rhythm and the thought process of being behind the drums when I'm playing guitar, to stay in time with the drummer and just to be a better rhythm player all in all. And the same thing can be said for something that's not percussive, like a melody-driven instrument, like a piano. I also dabbled a bit in piano, learning bits and pieces. Before this quarantine hit, I was having lessons from another student, and I was starting to really enjoy that, and it was making me think about the guitar in a different way because it was laid out differently on the piano. Obviously, piano is laid out completely differently to a guitar, and the way of playing it is different than you would play a guitar. So then just apply some of that thinking to your actual guitar playing, and it might help you be a bit more spontaneously creative, or just creative in general, and write different sounding things. And my last tip is work at different times in the day. So what I mean by this is, if you are the guy who is the nocturnal person, guy or gal who is the nocturnal, always write at night, I can't write anything in the morning, I always have to write things at night, then force yourself to try and write something in the morning or in the afternoon. and just try and work at different times in the day, because you might find that working in the morning, your songs sound maybe more alert. For me, they're a bit more, slightly more chilled sometimes in the morning, because I'm like, oh, I just don't want loud noises. I just want this nice calmness. That's all I want right now. And that can be a really good tool, is the time of day, because it'll depend on your mood. If you're angry about something, or if I'm angry about something, I'll generally write something that's really harsh and really aggressive, and I'll really enjoy doing that. Then, you know, if I'm feeling sad about something, it'll be something sad. So write in different moods. Don't try and be in the same mood and same time of day every day, because then you will start to see, okay, I'm writing the similar sort of things. So that is it for the tips. I believe there was 11 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, 10. So there's 10 tips there. The middle one that I thought was a tip was not a tip. It was more of just a disclaimer. And like I say, I'm going to say this again, I do not profess to be this total guru of all creative techniques or anything like that. This is just what I've found works for me personally in my life, and I thought I would share it with you all, so then that hopefully it can help someone else in their creative journey and help them to get better and make better music. So let me know down in the comments below what your sort of things are. If you do anything different to this, I'd love to try some new techniques on this. Obviously, I know these aren't all of them. There's plenty more, I'm sure, that everyone else will be able to tell me. So if you did enjoy the video as well, do please leave a like. And if you did learn anything, then do please leave a like. And if you want to see some more content on the channel, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.